The Peugeot UE8 is all done from last season, although I do have a couple of updates to give you a little bit later. And that means it's time for a new season, and it's time for me to show you what is in the mystery box from the Schwinn honey hole. That's what's happening on this first episode of Season 9 on Featherstone Bicycles. There was in the mystery box, with the exception of a couple parts, a 1966 Schwinn Slick Chick. And actually, if you look closely, with the exception of a couple parts like the frame and the seat and a few other things, there was two Slick Chicks. There were two rear wheels, two front wheels, two forks, two chain guards, two crank sets, just crazy. In keeping with the spirit of the channel, as we have done seasons before, I went ahead and put the bike back together so we could see what state it's in. We'll do a little bit of a walk around at this point. First thing I'd note is that this seat is not the correct seat for a Slick Chick from the middle 60s. The seat that came with this bike was a silver glow or something like that. It was like silver sparkles with seams running short ways across. Anyway, this was a banana seat that I had. It's the only banana seat that I have, and to get a sparkle one that's original from back in the day on eBay, it's several $100s. So needless to say, that is not going to happen. The other thing that I would note is that on this, I hesitate to call this a sissy bar because that, really means it comes up further. But anyway, this back bar for the seat, back support, the chrome is all gone off of here. And I do have another one that was in the box. And it's not as long as this one. So I think that the reason this one is so long was that I'll show you a picture here of the 67 catalog. They show two versions of this bike, one with a younger girl with a sort of configuration like this, and then with an older girl. So you can see how the seat is so much lower than the hand grips. On the second version with the older girl, this is raised up where the bottoms here are almost near these supports, and then there's a really long seat tube stem, and the seat gets raised up to the point that it's almost even with the hand grips. So either a short person, a young girl, or an older girl, a taller person, could ride this bike. It does have an original, what was called a gripper slick on the back that seems to be in pretty good shape. Probably need a new inner tube, but I don't know. I'll fill this one up with air and see if it holds. I did use the better of the two chain guards and the better of the two cranks. The chain seems to be a little bit small. There was only one chain in that box, and it's putting the axle for the rear hub past the point that I thought, that it looks like it was resting. So I don't know if that was not the original chain. It would be easy enough to extend it a couple links. This bike came in two different models. They were both coaster brake.
but one model had, and I don't know if this was indicative of the two different models, but in that 1967 catalog picture, you'd note that one model had black walls and one model had white walls. But at any rate, the second model, and you can see this back here on the hub, there's a red, might not be coming through in the camera, but there's a red stripe down the middle, which indicates that it's a 2-speed kickback hub, which I've never worked on one of those, so that should be interesting. The other thing I noticed is that this pedal is really screwed up. I don't know, for some reason, there's all this bump protrusions out of this axle or stem or whatever you want to call it, and you can see how loose it is. So probably have to do some surgery on that. The wheels are in bad shape, but you know, we've been able to fix those up pretty easily. However, the other two wheels that were in that box are in better shape, and I'm pretty sure that the rear is also a 2-speed kickback. So I may end up using those other wheels. And I do also have a black wall front, so front tire. So I will be not using this original Schwinn Westwood white wall. And then the other thing was that the head badge is in pretty bad shape, but as you know from the Schwinn Honey Hole episode, I have quite a few extra head badges, so I'll be looking to replace that. Other than that, the hand grips are original. There is a little bit of damage here on this one, but that's not a huge deal. Also, if you'll recall from that 67 catalog, and again, this was in 1966, but it was made in December of 66. So, and sky blue, which is this color, was available in either the 66 or the 67 model year. So I guess this could have been sold at like Christmas time for 66 or sometime in 67. But the basket, the Slick Chick came with a wicker basket on the front, or some kind of like a wicker or weave type of basket. And they do have a reproduction of that. It's not exact, but it's pretty similar and it's pretty inexpensive. I'll put a picture up and show you that. And I thought also what would be nice is to have a little bell and some streamers coming out. So that's about it. We will get into tearing it down. Couple things from the previous season's bike, the Peugeot UE8. You may recall is this bungee cord that was on the bike, and
I didn't know, and actually I didn't think whether or not this was original equipment, but I did find a picture online, which I'll put up here, shows that, well, I could never find a picture of this actual bike in any of the catalogs. I did find a picture online that showed this style of luggage rack on a Peugeot bicycle with something that looked like this kind of a bungee cord. So I am going to attach it. I did remember it clamped on back here. And then somehow, well, I don't know if this is the way it goes, but I got it stable so that when you're riding, it's not, you know, jiggling around and it's locked in here. I would imagine you could take this off this way, get it under, you know, put something under here and then do that with it, something like that. Anyway, doesn't really matter. Just want it to be original equipment. So then the other problem I encountered was I had the generator on, obviously in the front and the back light. However, as you'll see, neither the back light or the front light work. I checked the bulbs, at least from a visual perspective, as far as the filaments, and they look intact. So my first thought was to check to see whether the generator is actually putting any voltage out. So in order to do that, I've got a multimeter set up here for alternating current, and got the generator against the tire. I've got the positive in at the bottom, and then I'll put the ground or the common on the grounding post here without having my hands compromised by the spokes, and then turn the wheels. And you can see, if you can zoom in, that it is generating, you know, more than 12 amps, more than 12 volts, which is what it should. So that's good news. The generator's good. So my next option will be to, or my next step would be to actually test the bulbs. Well, I ran into a snag here. So I checked, you saw, I checked the voltage coming out of the generator, and it is 12 volts. We've got two wires coming out of this. One goes to the headlight, one goes to the tail light, obviously. I checked the bulb. There's no resistance. So the bulb is good. I checked the wire here to the end wire here in the taillight, and there's no resistance. So I don't know why the 12 volts coming out of here isn't, you know, getting split up 6 and 6 to here, because this is a 6 volt bulb in each one. I don't know why we're not getting at least 6 volts back here. I tried to test whether or not I can get 6 volts on the multimeter. Unfortunately, I need another set of hands because I can't secure the negative or the common on the post here. I have to actually touch it. There's nothing really, I tried to bolt it into it, but that won't work. And then, you know, touch the, and then I got a pedal to get the generator going, and then touch the positive over here. But I don't have another set of hands. The other thing that's weird, if anybody knows if I'm doing something wrong, let me know in the comments. But the other thing that's weird is that when I tested the generator, I had these two wires out. So it was just the generator by itself. I had the positive in there, and then I was pedaling and I touched the common over here to the post, to the frame. And that's how I got the 12 volt generated. But if I keep these wires in here and I put the positive terminal of the multimeter in there and try the same thing,
I don't get any reading. So why would that be? Don't know. If you know, I'm not an electronics expert, so if anyone knows, let me know.
I need to get a smaller screwdriver from out in the garage before I try to get the head badge off. There's the wheels and the tires, and there's all of our parts. Thanks for sticking with me, and I hope to see you next time on Featherstone Bicycles.